Here we go with Sector 1 of Brands Hatch. What you're probably going to notice, the eagle-eyed of you, will notice that I have already best lap times, gold-worthy sector times and whatnot. It's because I've done this, and I've filmed it a number of times, and I'm never satisfied with the idea that I have and like what I want to publish, and then, as per usual, like a year and a half goes by, and I don't do anything, so then I have to start over with the filming. Whatever. Is that guy done whining? What he's trying to say is, here we go with Brands Hatch, Sector 1. We're breaking it down sector by sector. I'm going to do my best to figure out the best line through here. It's going to evolve from this point forward. Am I in the right spot in the camera? But we're going to keep this nice and simple. We're going to start out. I'm going to make a couple of lines through here. You're probably going to see one of them, the one that I'm most comfortable with. And then I'm going to take it slowly and sort of talk through what I think is going on. I'm not an expert. I'm trying to learn this stuff, but what I'm trying to do for you is bring you along my thought process, because the way I think might be the way you think, or it might not be the way you think, and you might think something different than what you normally think because of what I think about what's going on here, I think. So anyway, here we go. First honest effort, and then we'll go back and we'll go nice and slow and break it down. And brake for... Front goes light, get to the green. And then curbing, turn in. Maybe I don't need second, but floor it. Not a good time. Okay, what I'm going to do now is go through the lap slowly. Go through the sector slowly. Yeah, let's do that. Here we go. So I'm braking at around the 200 meter board, and rather than stay on the outside until the turn comes in, what I think is actually helpful is aiming towards that line going right down the middle of the track. And the reason being, if I aim for that line, I will actually get the car steady with a wider arc on that curbing and come out right here so that I can have the wheel straighter and throttle out. Now, all of this is contingent upon the fact that the elevation change is there, and most of the turns on this track are just like with elevation changes, so it makes it very tricky and interesting. So it's all dependent on that. If I had a flatter turn, I think I'd probably turn in around where that pavement starts on the left-hand side after the 100 meter mark. But given the fact that it's starting to drop, I think need to make a wider curve or a wider arc, and then of course a later apex, so that because I'm going downhill, having the wheel straighter to throttle out is going to be better, more stable. And so then basically just letting the car track out with that minor steering angle to the green. I guess there's still a little bit of ambiguity for me here between the end of that green on the left and this overpass is where I want to start braking. I'll probably do a couple earlier and then move later. And then when this curbing starts, looking in second gear, maybe even third, and just being patient with this hairpin, and then probably, whoa, I just got vertigo braking thinking it was in a real car. Probably like right after that green and white striped board is when I'm going to start tracking out. And again, because it's a downhill, because there's an elevation change, I don't want to be too aggressive with throttle during a steering angle, nor do I want to make too sharp of an arc, I guess. Coming up to the curbing here, and then just throttle straight through. Every single thing I'm using right now is on its last legs of battery. Anyway, Brands Hatch, Sector 1. As you can see, as usual, I'm back in my moody little space, in my really amber-colored, low-Kelvin space. If you don't like it, then don't watch. Just kidding. Please watch and share with others. I can't afford. Don't leave me. But of course it's moody. I'm in my studying mode. I'm in my analytical space, trying to figure this track out. Now, right off the bat, not just Sector 1, but every single sector on this track is weird because everything is on some type of elevation change, some type of upset on the track. I know this isn't the only track that does that, but it makes things a little tricky. So Sector 1, we start out on the straightaway, the start-stop straight. And right off the bat, if you notice on the entry point into turn 1, it's already like sort of graduating towards the curve, but what you don't get on the map is the elevation change. There is a dramatic drop through turn 1, which for me means that this curve needs to be made as wide as possible with a late apex so that the track out point sort of goes further down the track, making my wheel straighter coming down the exit of turn 1. Because it's downhill, I'm constantly losing weight in the car. I'm losing grip, which means if I start accelerating with any level of steering angle, I'm going to spin the car. Or I'm going to wash out. Then when it comes to turn 2, again, looks like any old hairpin, except it's downhill. So finding the right spot to brake here is really important. Somewhere, I mean, there's an overpass around here. So somewhere in this area is where I would probably brake. I still don't know exactly where that spot is, but there's something, at least right now, that I find really tricky about this turn because there is some curbing that starts around here on the outside and comes around. That seems to be a really good spot to start turning in, except because it's downhill, I kind of feel like the front loses grip. So again, I think there needs to be a slight initial wide arc that brings you in, and it's sort of a gradual progression towards the apex, which needs to be not just later. Like I always do early apexes. You've probably heard me say that before. You're going to hear me say it a lot. I need to hold on to this turn longer because it's sort of a wide hairpin. And because it's downhill, I think there needs to be more stability through the turn so that I can straighten the wheel and accelerate out. That line I just made is not straight. And brake towards that line. I'm braking way too much here. Using a bit of trail braking. Patient, and then start to throttle out here. Being in third actually benefits me. Yeah, that time is all just because of the fact that I screwed up turn 1. But being in third actually helps me get on the throttle earlier. Here's when I get way too into my head. And that was way too late. And I was probably too conservative with the braking there. But I'm going to tell you right now, in retrospect, some of the sort of assertions or the insights that I gave myself during this might not be entirely accurate, and I probably need to spend more time fine-tuning it. But for now, this seems to be a relatively close enough sort of rough draft of the line that I need for Sector 1. Now, the nice thing is the lap attack is going to come at the end of this particular series, or one of the last episodes in every series is going to be the lap attack, which hopefully by the time I reach that point, I'll have fine-tuned certain things, and then obviously I'm going to share them. But for now, rough draft. Too late with the braking. But that was still a goal. Interesting. There we go. Okay. Now again, some of you might be noticing that my line is a little bit too, like I'm probably turning in way too early into turn 2, and I'm really trying to like wrestle it into the right spot. I could probably tweak that a little bit, but I'll let him wrap it up. So my actual summary right now, which I think is, and I'm losing daylight, so we gotta finish quickly. Final points right now after doing this a couple of times now. The idea of turning in a little bit earlier than you would anticipate otherwise for turn 1, I think is the right thing to do. One, because it's a drop in the elevation, which means your car is lighter. So you want the car straighter throughout, but also a little bit later of an apex to get the car straight when you apply the throttle, and you can throttle a little bit sooner, I guess, even though the apex is later. But the other thing is because the apex is blind, you can't act like, or I can't act like a normal turn where I can see the apex. And it, like, my brain is so comfortable with seeing my apex when I'm tracking in that I'm almost doing that in this case, and that's already way too late. The car is already losing weight, and I'm already too far out. And that's when I scrub out. Where that breaking point is, I think it's farther in than 200, but not quite 150, I don't think. Somewhere between 150 and maybe 175. But that's that one. I think it makes sense conceptually. I don't get it every single time. And then turn 2, what I think I've been trying to do is treat it like a normal hairpin, which no turn on this track is normal. Everything is a weird elevation change. And so what I was doing was braking straight until the beginning of the entry point curbstones on the outside, and then using that as my turn-in point. But there's already the drop in the elevation, and it's too sharp of an angle. What I typically try to do is prevent myself from crabbing inward, which I tend to do when I'm anticipating turning in. But I overcompensate by turning in way late, which is too abrupt. So I need to find some sweet spot. There is a sort of crest that occurs before the turn-in point for turn 2, which is upsetting the car. I think I need to come in the left middle of that while turning right through there. And then really focusing on not so much a late apex, but like a later track out point. Keeping tight to the turn for longer. Try one more time. I mean, I'll take it. It's not 21.3, but it's not 21.9. So that's sector 1. Certainly not perfected, but definitely familiar with it now. And put it into my repertoire, so by the time the lap attack comes, maybe we'll be in a better place.